And we are underway with final two of the Junior World Championship trials. If you were watching this morning, you saw this boat here, the Culver Narragansett boat, in first place. Riverside was second, the boat we're looking at right now. And then off to the left is the Potomac Crescent boat that finished in third place. There they are. So they are out of the red buoys into the yellow buoys, so we have a fair start to this race. And they'll be coming up to the camera launch shortly. So again, this is the best 2 out of 3. The boat we're looking at here finished third this morning. If they win, or the boat on the outside, the Riverside boat wins, it goes to a third race tomorrow. If you remember this morning, the Narragansett and Culver boat had about a half a boat length lead over the Riverside boat on the far side for 1,000 meters, 1,000 plus. And the margins didn't change very much at all. So today it looks like the Culver Narragansett boat wanted to get out to a fast start and just put an end to this thing immediately. I don't think these other boats are going to let them do that, particularly the boat closest to us, the Potomac Crescent boat. They are in there, and they have started out hard. And they are ahead of the Riverside boat on the far side, who, they handily beat this Crescent Potomac boat this morning. But they said, okay, we're going to get out here. We're going to get out here strong and get into this race. Again, to extend this to a third race, one of the boats on the outside, the yellow boat or the white boat, needs to finish in first place ahead of the Narragansett Culver boat. Right now, though, it is Narragansett Culver with open water by a deck. So they are past the 750 meter mark. And they continue to open up a little more water. So at 1,000 meters, it's almost a boat of open water for the Narragansett Culver boat. And right from the get-go, they said, we're just going to be done with this thing. And they're working very hard to make sure that happens. First 1,000 meters, open water, a boat length of open water on Potomac Crescent and Riverside. The Culver Narragansett boat out front, maintaining about a boat length of open water, but the Potomac Crescent boat is coming back a little bit. The Riverside boat seems to be falling further back. Our leaders here have about 600 meters to go. stroke from Culver, having a look around, looking to see where that 500-meter mark is. And it's at the end of this point that is coming up at the pagoda. $500 to go. From the top of the finish tower, even from this vantage point, we can see that the Narragansett Culver boat has quite a lead over the rest of the field, the closest boat being the Potomac Crescent double, but they are still open water behind. Pushing very nicely. They had control of this race from the get-go. This morning they probably felt the pressure of that Riverside boat that is quite a ways back right now, and just said, you know what, we're going to get this done early and not mess around. So barring any unforeseen circumstance, the Culver Narragansett boat, if they cross the line first, they will be racing as the double in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, August 6th through 9th. And we will have coverage of that at usrowing.org. And there they are across the line. There's Riverside, and then the Crescent Potomac boat. The next race up is going to be the women's pair, and we'll go to that as soon as we can. We're less than 2 minutes away from the start of the women's pair. This morning, it was Camp Boat A, Dawson, who won the event, followed by Mercer, followed by the Camp Boat B. So what we're looking at here is Mercer is on the left-hand side, the Camp Boat A is in the middle, and the Camp Boat B is on the far side. This morning, Mercer went out fast. They are lightweights, and they got the rating up and really pushed it out and made a really great fight. The apparently stronger Camp Boat A pushed through them and had a pretty significant victory by the end of the race. So we'll see what happens at the beginning of this race, see what strategy they employ. The Mercer and the Camp Boat B athletes employ to try to push this to a third race with the Camp Boat A boat, which is in the middle. They're off. The Mercer pair winding it up. Camp boat A, looking very solid. Camp boat B, not looking quite as solid. And Mercer looking very good. They're rowing straight into a little bit of a headwind. And we'll pick it up with the camera launch as soon as they get up even with the camera launch. Again, we can only get up as far as we can between the 500 and the 250 because we don't want to leave a wake on the course. Camp boat B on the far left there. In the middle is camp boat A. Little bobble, a little mist water right there. But they recover nicely. And now as they come parallel with the launch at 500 meters, it is camp boat A with about 3/4 of a boat length over the Mercer pair. I do have to say this Mercer pair is feisty, which is awesome, and they're pushing this camp boat A, which is good. But this little bit of a headwind is not helping these lightweights in this Mercer boat. As the camp boat breaks open, breaks free a little bit of open water. Maybe still bow on stern, but I venture to say we'll be open water here in just a moment. Camp boat B trailing 3-4 boats of open water. Between the 750 and the 1,000 meter mark, getting pretty close to the 1,000 meter mark, Mercer is hanging on here. They're not going to let go of the stern of the camp boat, and are doing everything they can to hang on in hopes of getting back up into them and pushing this to a third race. So if this does go to a third race, the trailing boat, the camp boat B, at this point, would be eliminated from the competition, and tomorrow morning it would just be these two racing, if that's how it played out. If this Mercer boat, which is moving, look at them go. I'm going to eat my words about saying the camp boat A was going to row away a little bit, albeit slowly, from this Mercer boat. That is not happening at all. This Mercer boat is coming back. Look at them. They are rowing at a higher rating than the camp boat. And they are making it work for them. So that was a big move at the 1,000 for the Mercer boat. We'll see if the camp boat has a response. So as we get close to the 1250, it looks like the camp boat did have a response, kind of waited for Mercer to make their move, and then pushed them back a little bit. But here goes Mercer again. Oh, this is great. Good for everybody out here. This is a great race. Little bit of back and forth. Mercer pushes in. Camp boat pushes him back. Fantastic. Camp boat now, it's bow on stern as they get close to the 500 meter mark. So 500 meters to go, it's bow on stern. This margin has changed by a half a boat, but not much more than that in the last 1,000 meters. From the top of the finish tower, even though it's at an angle and everything else, you can see the camp boat still has a lead. The buoys are going to turn from yellow to red, and you can see that line right there where they turn from yellow to red, and that's 250 meters to go. $150 or so meters to go. It is still the camp boat out in front. The pair from Mercer is not going to let them go. Good for them. It's a little bit of open water now. It is the camp boat coming to the line. Camp boat A over the line. Mercer. Nice handshake job, well done. Very nice. And camp boat B coming to the line. So these athletes will be heading off to Rio. And it's World Championships down there, and it's also a test event for the Olympics. They will be rowing on the Olympic course. Men's pair up next. So this morning it was Saugatuck, and they were a convincing winner this morning. They are in the middle. This is PNRA Mercer. They finished third this morning. And this is Junior Camp Boat. And they finished second and were off. Pushing Not trying to go crazy off the start. Lengthening out and working the rating up. PNRA Mercer looking very nice, very comfortable in this pair. And Saugatuck having some steering issues here. And the camp boat. And they look like they're doing very nicely right down the middle of the lane. Referee getting behind that Saugatuck boat just to keep an eye on them. And PNRA Mercer doing a nice job. And we'll see what the margins are when they get up close to the camera boat. Again, we'll pick this up when we can. We stayed with that women's pair race just because that was a whole lot of fun. We stayed with them for a while, so it'll be a little bit before the camera launch. We'll be able to pick them up. Referee with the white flag up, doing a little bit of steering. And here we are, I'm guessing right around the 500 meter mark, somewhere in there. And it is Mercer out in front, ahead of Saugatuck. And the camp boat in third. It looked like Mercer by about a half a boat length over Saugatuck. And the camp boat in third, open water behind our two leaders. Now they seem to be rowing very nicely in the pair, but just don't have quite the skill or the firepower potentially of our two lead boats. It is very likely that the lead two pairs have had opportunity to spend time in the pair together, whereas the camp boat, they probably rowed for different programs and were put in a pair, and maybe not the time to get used to the boat. The pair is a very difficult boat to row. These two lead boats make it look pretty easy. It's not, but they make it look easy, and that's the sign of good athleticism. They make a difficult task look easy. So Mercer out in front. We'll see if Saugatuck, who was the clear winner this morning, has a response to this Mercer boat. Mercer said, we got to go out hard, we got to go out fast if we're going to get these guys. And so that's what they've done. They're getting close to the 1,000 meter mark here. And Saugatuck looks like they're on the move. Mercer, they are maintaining a half boat lead. That lead may be lessening right now as Saugatuck puts on a move. Saugatuck, see if they can get their bow. Wow. Okay. That's a move. Holy smokes. Now they are on par with Mercer. So they expended a bunch of energy to do that. The question is, does Mercer have a response? Saugatuck now out in front by a deck length. Saugatuck now in front by a half a boat. So in about 300 meters, they went from being a half a boat down to being more than a half a boat up. Wow. I don't know if they were just laying in wait, playing a little rope-a-dope, or if this Mercer boat just held them at bay that long and then sort of ran out of gas a little bit. But now Saugatuck is just starting to move away. We have about 500 meters to go. There it is. 500 meters, and Saugatuck has open water. So the strategy so far this evening has been, if you were in second place this morning, throw everything at this the boat that beat you in the morning and see if you can hold them off. Saugatuck with open water now. They had to expend some pretty serious energy to get into that position. See if Mercer has anything to come back at them with. Saugatuck with just a few strokes to go. Looking over, where is that finish line? And there it is. Mercer. Some happy guys, some very happy guys. Camp boat across the line. And as the Saugatuck guys row off into the distance there, drifting off into the distance, we will go back up to the starting line for the women's junior single. So this morning, first place was Miss Kaufels, second place was Campboat Johnson, and third place for Maritime was Miss Campbell. This afternoon, Campboat Johnson will be in lane 1. Miss Kaufels will be in the middle, and looking over to Maritime, that's Miss Campbell. Oh, I'm sorry. That's Miss Kaufels. And over to her right will be Miss Campbell from Maritime. There we go. And they're off. So the second place finisher this morning is right in view of the camera right now. Ms. Johnson finished second. Ms. Kaufels finished first. And Ms. Campbell was third. So you can imagine the boats on the outside are going to be attacking early and going very hard. But also, if you remember from this morning, Ms. Kaufels was quite outstanding. And what makes it even more impressive is that she's only been sculling for a very short time and rowing for only a little bit longer than that. Referee launch, hugging the buoy line so the rower can look behind her and see the buoy lanes behind her. It helps you steer to watch the buoys fading away behind you. And from the camera launch, it is Miss Kaufels and Miss Campbell. Miss Campbell finished third this morning, but at 500 meters, she is only a half a boat down. And she's going to do everything she can to push this to a third race, which would happen tomorrow morning at 7:30. So that's 500 meters. And Miss Kaufels is moving away just a little bit by little bit. It's very impressive how comfortable she looks in water that was not as flat as this morning. It's a little rougher out there, and you have to have a little more skill, a little more finesse in a little bit rougher water to make the boat move. It's easy to have little bobbles like she had just a few strokes ago, where a more experienced rower can work their way through those sort of things. But she plants the blade, gets her weight on those oar handles and on her footboards, and off she goes. Solid push with the legs. You can see that blade goes in, and a solid push as she just pushes her competitors back behind her. She's been rowing for less than a year. Wow. Doing a fantastic job. Miss Johnson, who is second this morning, having a rougher go of it this afternoon. Getting very close to the 1,000-meter mark, and this is sort of what we remember from this morning. Open water and rowing away, doing just a very nice job. I don't mean to disparage her competitors at all. It's just that she's really doing something pretty spectacular. If she wins this race, then she will be representing the United States in Rio on the Olympic course. And that's August 6th through 9th. So in about a month. And U.S. Rowing will be following the progress of all of our athletes in Rio. And you go to usrowing.org for updates on how everybody's doing. From Maritime, Miss Campbell. $750 meters to go. Just imagine over time, this athlete is just going to get faster and faster and faster in this boat. From the top of the finish tower, you can see it's a pretty wide margin between these competitors. Oh. The title at the bottom was just a preview of what's coming up next. The men's single is coming up after this event. But we will stay on and focus on these women as they come through the finish line. They have about 400 meters to go. And barring any unforeseen incident, Miss Goffels should be rowing in Rio in about a month. There's about 200 meters to go. Nice job, very nice job. Looking for the finish line, and it's just a stroke or two away. Across the line. Miss Campbell across the line. I'm sure she's happy. Hard to see from here, but I'm sure she is. And Miss Johnson across the line. So there's our winner. And she'll be heading off to Rio. Congratulations. Hope you have a brilliant regatta down there. And we are going to be heading up to the men's singles race right now. They are getting ready to go. And they are off. This is Mr. O'Brien we're looking at. He finished second this morning. He led the race for a very long time ahead of this gentleman, Mr. Morley. And finishing third this morning is Mr. Skypeck from Space Coast. So is Mr. Bryan going to get out ahead like he did this morning and see what Mr. Morley can do? I would imagine that would be the strategy. Or is Mr. Morley just going to say, I'm just going to go hard off the start and be done with this? So we'll find out as they get close to the camera launch. And as soon as they get a good shot, we'll go to the camera launch. They're not quite there yet. But from here, it looks like Mr. Morley is out in front. Mr. Morley in the middle there with the stripe on the jersey. Mr. O'Brien, though, is right there. Again, Mr. O'Brien rowing a higher stroke rate. And these boats are neck and neck. I'm sorry, it is Mr. O'Brien who's now out in front. The word from the camera launch was that Mr. Morley was out in front, but that is not the case right now. And they are rowing stroke for stroke. But rowing stroke for stroke, you can see Mr. Morley has just a little more speed. Wow, this is a perfect exhibit of possibly superior power or technique, or both. But going stroke for stroke, getting more out of each stroke. Now they're a little out of sync. But it appears Mr. O'Brien cannot quite keep the pace. His choice is to maybe take the rating up a little bit, which is pretty dicey this early in the race. But Mr. Morley now is starting to move away. Mr. Morley won the Youth National Championships down in Sarasota, Florida. Wasn't that long ago. Got a silver in the quad with Mr. O'Brien. They were teammates, and now they're going head to head. So it's just a little over 1,000 meters to go. There it is. Mr. Morley with open water on the rest of the field. Looking very calm. He's definitely in control of the race. Keeping a nice push on each stroke just to make sure. Mr. O'Brien, you can see he was doing a quick look over his shoulder. It's like, can I catch this guy? Can I catch this guy? A little bit harder for the boat trailing. You're not exactly sure where the boat in front of you is. Sometimes you can hear the boat, you can hear the oars. But when you're out in front, all you have to do is just look behind you and you see what's going on. You can see if your competitors take a little push and you can respond. Definitely in the catbird seat right here. With just over 500 meters to go, Mr. Morley has cracked this one open. Mr. Bryan about a boat length open behind. Mr. O'Brien probably starting to sprint to see if he can close this gap. Mr. Morley just has to watch, see what happens behind him, and stay ahead. The buoys will go from yellow to red, and that signifies 250 meters to go. If Mr. Morley does win, then that means that every winner this morning won this afternoon, so there will be no racing tomorrow morning. From the top of the finish tower here at Mercer County Park, Mr. Morley just a few strokes from the line. And he's over. Followed by Mr. O'Brien. Followed by Mr. Skypeck. And there's our winner. Happy guy. Tired guy. So in about 3 weeks, he'll be heading down to Rio. Thank you for watching these trials. Our next event will be the Club Nationals, which we are going to broadcast live, the final event of Club Nationals. And then we have senior trials after that, followed by Masters Nationals. Thanks again. Bye-bye.